Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Jonathan Calixto, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, we speak with the Executive Director of STEM Kids NYC to learn about how they are inspiring young scholars to look at careers in STEM. Then we speak with the writer and an actor behind a new play, Amerikin, that explores the length people will go to protect their own. After that, the Chief Executive Officer of WellLife Network tells us about their newest development that is aimed to help those who were formerly homeless. And finally, the film director of You Are Not Alone speaks about highlighting public health disparities in the Bronx in her latest film. So stay tuned, all this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Calixto, and today is Tuesday, February 25th. You are now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. STEM Kids NYC is an educational nonprofit organization offering programs for students from grades pre-K to 12, like after school, summer camp, and even weekend programs, with the goal to prepare them for a future in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. With us today is the Executive Director of STEM Kids NYC, Yvonne Thevenot. Hi, Yvonne, welcome.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Obviously, such an important organization and the work that you're doing.
Yes.
So I want to start off with, tell me a little bit about STEM Kids NYC and what inspired its creation.
Sure. Well, STEM Kids NYC, we're looking to bridge the gap that's currently with school curriculum and that immediate need to get kids those STEM skills and really get them prepared for jobs that don't even exist today. And what inspired me was really when I started to be an educator in the Harlem area, and I realized in the northernmost part of Harlem, there was a desert of, meaning there were no STEM programs. The kids, my students, were not being exposed to engineering or computer science, and I really felt that there was an immediate need to address that issue because when I looked around, I did see a lot of chances that my kids could be swept up into the carceral system, and I did not want that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, something that I also enjoyed, like reading the website, learning a little bit more about STEM Kids NYC, is that there is this model in the curriculum called culturally responsive STEM curriculum, which talks about the needs for the classroom and learning and understanding those two and how they merge. Talk to me a little bit about that curriculum and how you developed it and its importance.
Sure. Well, culturally responsive pedagogy and teaching has been around for quite a while. I actually use that model to insert into our STEM curriculum really for the purpose of allowing our students cultural assets and their knowledge assets. So we want them to bring their experiences from the community, from home, into the classroom, and we honor that and acknowledge it. And the way we bring it into our curriculum is we allow for our students to choose, for example, social issues that are prevalent in our community. They pick apart those issues, examine them, and then we show them how to engineer, so the different skills in circuitry, and robotics, computer science, and they build apps or games or actual prototypes that are centered and represent that issue.
Yeah, when you talk about obviously these hands-on approaches, I mean, the range of ages that you work with and the grades span from pre-K to 12. And so I wonder for you, how important was it to be able to provide, this age range, this grade range as well,
Yes.
these kind of programs?
Well, I started the pre-K program, even though I started the company in 2015, in 2017, I had to ask myself the question, what if? And the what if was, what if we were to introduce engineering and robotics to pre-K, my pre-K students? And so I took took a chance and actually, went to one of the community centers in Harlem to talk to them about the issue. And they gave me the space to actually start the first pre-K program. And the reason why I kind of want to go into that area is because in households, kids learn how to read, they learn the language, they learn their first knowledge assets from the home and from the community. So I thought, well, I'll just tack on to reading and math, counting concepts, the knowledge of engineering and robotics and the discovery of science, so that when they have those experiences, slowly that skill will build over time, and then they'll have that identity that they themselves could be scientists, they themselves could be mathematicians.
With being able to see themselves, and obviously like this model that you talk about, the hands-on approach, them being able to introduce these topics to them very young,
Yes.
What are some of those programs that you offer for these grades from pre-K to 12?
Sure. We have science discovery, and it really is just tapping into the natural creativity and imagination of students. But we insert science in there. So we may have experiments that are more than just the wow factor, but we have them explore. So we may capture, an example could be exploring the life cycle of a seed, and they'll learn how to germinate that seed and then watch those seeds grow. That builds on that whole aspect. We have robotics programs where we enable our students to not only build robots, simple robots, from the ground up, but also engage in programming those robots. So using a computer programming language or block coding to program the tasks of robots. We also have engineering, and engineering can span from mechanical to physical engineering, circuitry, and even physics. And we insert those based on the learning level of our students to give them those skills to work with their hands, learn by doing, but also understand the mechanics of engineering.
Yeah, and of course, as you're talking about the programs, there is obviously this concept of them being able to see it through and through completion from something that they start to the end. And I wonder too, many people might say, pre-K, they're so young, will they be able to grasp this, or can they stay engaged? How do you make it so that all grades actually stay engaged with the program as they're learning?
Yeah, well, for pre-K, we know that 30-minute classes are it. It's like, so when we have them for an hour, we have approximately 30 to 35-minute classes, because we know that when they start wandering around, it's time to actually switch. So what we do is we base everything in hands-on learning. And we have what I call conversations with our pre-K learners on engineering. So just yesterday in our camp, we talked about mechanical or kinetic energy and potential energy as our students were working on building a roller coaster. So while the student is engaged in the activity, we are actually talking to them with that language, because the pre-K learners are picking up. 3-year-olds pick up on everything we do and everything that we say. So I'm inserting just a clever way of having them have that ingrained knowledge of STEM very early on. All the way through to elementary, middle school, and high school, we layer down or layer up our curriculum and our lesson plans to fit the learning level of our students. So that in high school, we teach robotics, but we also teach robotics in elementary school students too, but with different variations of robotics, different variations of skill sets.
Wow. Now, of course, with the age range being different grades and whatnot, there's also this importance about diversity in the STEM field, which is a challenge and we often don't see as much. Talk to me about how obviously STEM Kids NYC is helping break that barrier and offer more opportunities, especially for our young girls as well.
Yeah, well, I learned how to code when I was 11. And so my father introduced me to computer science when I was 11. He bought me my first microscope when I was 6, including slides in Latin, because I had phonetic skills so I could pronounce those words. And that really helped me be ingrained in having that identity that I too could be a scientist. I too can be a computer scientist. So I just took that flavor, that verb, and said, I want other students that look like me to also have that same experience. That really was what started STEM Kids NYC. On top of that, I have a 21-year-old son who, when I started STEM Kids NYC, I noticed that the school that he went to did not have STEM programming. So I kind of looked forward and said, what happens when people are caught up in the carceral system is most of the time it's lack of exposure, lack of education opportunities, lack of equity. So I wanted to address that full on to say it is very much time to ensure that people that look like me are also in STEM. And last time I checked, when there's a diversity in computer science, our algorithms that are fueling AI, for example, will be less biased. Our breakthroughs in the medical field would also ensure that it captures the needs and medical needs of people that look like me, look like you, look like us here in the Bronx. Therefore, those medical breakthroughs, if we had people that look like us in the labs, discovering and getting the patents and so on, more opportunities would be for us to extend our life as well.
The impact that it can make on our community, right, to be able to see ourselves from that professional standpoint, but also helping out other people on the other end. With that, I think something important that you mentioned as well was that when you were looking for a program for your son, that they didn't offer it in schools or anything that you were able to find. I know STEM Kids does partnerships as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the importance of having those partnerships with local organizations, after school programs. How vital are they to the success of the program?
Yeah, they're quite vital. One, because STEM Kids NYC is still a small organization, so we love to develop those partnerships with community-based organizations that are already inside of schools, and then they bring us on as one of their vendors, one of their contractors, to actually add value to what they're offering inside of the schools. And that's really becomes a lucrative partnership, allows us to do what we do best, which is teach STEM classes, but also allows us to partner up with a larger organization to do so.
Yeah, and with, of course, how the evolution of technology is going, we talked a little bit about AI even being incorporated now. How do you make it so that the curriculum does stay up to date with what is going on around the world?
Absolutely. I look always high and low. I look to see what trends are out there that are tied to lucrative jobs. So last time I checked, people who can code in JavaScript, for example, in New York City make an average of $195,000 a year. So guess what? We teach JavaScript to our kids. Last time I checked, AI programmers, AI developers really help to propel themselves economically with their knowledge. So we introduce AI and programming into our curriculum so that we can build that foundation for our students to learn that. So in the future, when AI transcends to another technology, they will have the groundwork and the seeds already planted in their experience to be able to traverse to that level.
Yeah, because we know it's changing so quickly,
Yes.
day to day even. With that as well, for obviously viewers, family members, even community organizations who are seeing a program like this and maybe even want to do something like that on their local level for them and their communities, what advice would you give them about being able to start something like this?
The advice that I would give is one, put aside your fear. You know, really believe that you can and you will, and look around you. Opportunities are where the problems are. And therefore, if you see that there is an issue that you want to address, start from there. Don't worry about the money, but start locally from there and then branch out.
Yeah, now of course, we talked about some of the programs happening now. What's next for STEM Kids NYC?
Yes. What is next is basically for us to have pockets that are spread throughout the New York City and the boroughs area, so that we have 2 locations now, one in Harlem, right in the center of Harlem on 125th Street, and we also are in Jersey City, which is a very large city, if you will, right across, the river. So our intention is to go into the boroughs, spread wide, so that we can have these physical locations that serve the communities right there, then and there.
Amazing. Well, I know we will definitely stay tuned, Yvonne, to what is happening with STEM Kids NYC and the evolution as well. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Amazing. So to learn more about their programs, please visit their website at stemkidsnyc.org. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open after this.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Welcome back. What length would you go to protect your own? Well, the latest play, Amerikin, set in small town Maryland, follows Jeff Browning, a father looking to give his newborn son every advantage possible, even if it means stepping out of his comfort zone. Here to tell us more is the playwright Chisa Hutchinson and actor Daniel Abeles. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having us.
I know this is an exciting time. This is just days away from obviously opening night. Talk to me about, we'll start with you, Chisa. Talk to me about what are the feelings like right now?
I'm obviously very excited, and yeah, just ready to share this work with New York.
Yeah, I know New York is ready to receive it as well. Talk to me a little bit about Amerikin. What is it about? What is it centered around?
Amerikin, as you mentioned, is centered around Jeff, who is played by Dan. And Jeff is a new father. He's just had a baby, and he lives in a small town in Maryland, which is 100% white and very conservative. And one of the ways that you can sort of plug into the community there is to join the local white supremacist group, which he decides he's going to do. And as part of his initiation into the group, he has to take an ancestry test, a DNA test, which offers up some inconvenient results for him, and then he has to sort of deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm just giving you enough. I mean, with that, Daniel, I mean, we just learned a little bit about, obviously, the script and theme. When you're reading it and kind of seeing the story unfold, what are your thoughts? What's your reaction?
Yeah, well, I don't want to give too much away about the plot. You have to come see it. But Chisa is an extraordinary writer in that she gives a lot of latitude for interpretation for every character in the play, which is also a testament to her as a writer. Not many playwrights can really, they don't give journeys for every single actor or role, but with this play she does. And so my interpretation of the role has changed a little bit over time. When I first read it, I thought it was one thing, but now that we've dived into rehearsals and it's constantly expanding and unfolding, and she's very generous as a writer, and Jade, our director, also. I mean,
it continues to evolve.
It continues to evolve. Yeah, Jeff decides he wants to join this local group. I need to approach it from a place where it's in order to provide for his son, and it's a way to get ahead, and it's a very common place to be in, I think, in today's environment. Like, what can I do to get myself ahead? Right. Without, he's not considering too deeply what joining a group like this actually means. Yeah, and I think he finally reckons with that as soon as he gets those results back.
Which, again, no spoilers, but definitely I think is something we want to dive deep into a little bit more. But with that, I mean, she said this play in general does deal with like identity, race, you know, the lengths that you would go to for someone you love. What inspired kind of those themes and incorporating it into this play?
There's a theater company in Shepherdstown, West Virginia, that I love working at called Contemporary American Theater Festival. And in order to get there, I have to drive through Sharpsburg, Maryland, which is that tiny little town, all white, very conservative. And I know this because there were many, many, many Trump signs sprouting out of lawns, and Confederate flags also, which, you know, for someone like me is an indication that maybe I would not be welcome there if I were to knock on someone's door to ask directions or borrow an egg or whatever, right? So, you know, driving the speed limit through there. But I didn't like that feeling of being fearful of people I don't know. I don't like that, the irrationality of that, you know? So really my play is my attempt at humanizing people I've never met, or I don't know, sort of quashing that fear and just trying to recognize, you know, they're just people. They're just people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's beautiful that you do talk about even the idea of just humanizing them, right? And just giving a little bit of trying to build a backstory even behind them for the viewer to kind of see and just understand or see from their point of view. With that, of course, Daniel, when you are dealing with these topics as well of identity, race, these conflicts, how do you prepare to play someone like that and someone so complex?
Well, I mean, when I first read this play, I was preparing to come in for a different role, and I asked if I could read for this because to answer your question, you need to find the human moments in these characters. He's a new dad. I'm a new dad. I could really grapple with with that. And I think Jeff, as far as the spectrum of morally reprehensible characters in the play, he is a subject of his environment. I believe that if he were somewhere else, maybe in a different social strata, he might not have done something like this. So to me, he's impressionable and trying to do the right thing. And in this town, the right thing is not right. But yeah, I have to constantly ask myself what's worth fighting for in the play as a character and as a person. But I do have to contend with certain things that I would never say or do, which is a challenge.
Yeah, and well, I mean, also to my understanding, I like was reading and stuff, is that there is a little bit of humor also kind of incorporated into the play. Talk to me, Chisa, about incorporating humor and that kind of also lighter notes in a sense to the play, incorporating that, writing it into it.
Oh, absolutely. Like humor is the sugar that helps the medicine go down, right? Like it's the thing that I think makes whatever messaging you might have palatable for folks. I don't think people like to go, especially now, to the theater to be punched in the soul, you know, over and over, or like bludgeoned with, you know, a political point. Like that's not what we go to the theater for. We go to open up a little bit, and I feel like it's a lot easier for people to open up when they're laughing. So yeah, there's funny because Jeff is a funny dude, you know, his friend whose name is Poot, like just the nickname, you know, like that's funny. Hopefully that'll get some giggles out of people. People are funny, man. And I think to not capitalize on that is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, now of course, we talk about the humor, we talk about even the humanizing part as well of it. When people go to see Amerikin, what are you most excited or nervous for them to see? We'll start with you, Chisa, with anything. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'm nervous. First of all, it's not the first production of this particular play. It's been produced in regional theaters, and I'm nervous because New York audiences are a different breed of audience, you know? And I guess I'm nervous because I don't want them to pass too harsh a judgment on the characters, and hopefully, I'm hoping that they will be surprised at how much they can relate to the people, and even the motivations for doing the things that they do.
Yeah. How about for you, Daniel? What are you most excited or nervous for people to see?
So many different things. I think I didn't properly answer your previous question in the way that I wanted, and it has to deal with the impulse to generalize. And Chisa's play is a lot about superficial judgment, right? And so I prejudged these characters in the way that I, and through the process, could sort of find a more profound understanding of them. I hope audiences do the same, and that they don't prejudge and are able to ask themselves deeper questions about what they might do in these circumstances, and as opposed to just dishing these characters aside as just, well, there's no one like that, because it's obviously not true. There are many people like this. And so, that being said, I'm excited about all the conversations that I might have after the show for our very discerning audiences. And I like to argue, so I'm looking forward to that.
You're like, come ready to debate.
Yeah.
Is that part of kind of the play itself, though? Is that there will be some type of way to connect with you, the actors and stuff, after the show, or in conversation, or you mean just like in general they can reach out to have those conversations? What is afterwards?
There are some performances that have talkbacks after them, and if you go to either primarystages.org or 59e59.org, you should be able to navigate your way to the calendar, the performance calendar, and see which shows have the talkbacks.
Yeah. Now, if people want to be ready to the talkbacks or to even see the play, what are some of the important dates coming up for Amerikin at Primary Stages?
March 1st is the first preview, excitement. And then March 18th, I think, is technically the opening night. So, you know, if you want to come and like raise a glass or something after the performance with, you know, the cast and the crew, that would be the night to do it. And then what else? When do we close?
Mid-April?
You think like April 13th? I think
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That
You're
sounds
like,
right.
those dates sound good.
Yeah.
We can extend it if needed.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, with that as well, you've talked a little bit about obviously your own personal journeys in there. What do you hope people will receive from it? You know, what do you also hope it does challenge viewers and attendees to look, whether it's in their own life or even what's going on around our world? How do you hope it does challenge them in some capacity, Chisa?
Yeah, well, I'll just say, like, when I was writing it, I really had to resist the urge to demonize and villainize and stereotype. So I'm hoping that's what I'm hoping the audience will do, you know, is to think twice before sort of giving into that impulse to just reject someone or something just because it's unfamiliar or it's different from what they would do, or because I feel like that's why that's how we have arrived where we are
definitely
in this country politically, of just like people not really trying to meet each other in the middle.
Definitely. And I mean, with that, I feel like you've given us obviously so much to even look forward to. And I mean, I thank you even for taking the time to talk and break down these characters a little bit more. So I feel like we'll definitely be staying tuned. And thank you so much again for being here with us today.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you. To learn more about this play, please visit the website primarystages.org. Stay tuned. We have more open for you right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome back. WellLife Network, along with partners, funders, and local elected officials, broke ground on White Plains Road Apartments, an $87 million, 8-story supportive housing development in Williamsbridge that will create 136 affordable homes, including 82 supportive units for formerly homeless individuals and an additional 53 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom units. Here to tell us more is Chief Executive Officer Sherry Tucker. Hi, Sherry. Good morning.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. We obviously just mentioned you just broke ground on these White Plains Roads apartments. Talk to me about the importance of this new breaking ground.
You know, it's always amazing when we get to this stage. There's so much work in the beginning stages just to get to the groundbreaking. A lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of people to try to get on board and really put all the pieces of the puzzle together. It's quite a complex funding structure and a lot of different parties play a part in it. So it's just an exciting day. It's one of those days that you just want to, you know, dance on that ground that you're breaking. But yeah, we're very excited for this building to take life.
Yeah, now of course that groundbreaking does come in the midst of this New York homelessness crisis that we're seeing. Some of the data that we were getting back is that the state controller announced that the homelessness here grew by 53.1% from January 2023 to January 2024. That's more than 4 times than the rest of the nation. We're also seeing homelessness in children grow as well, from more than 30,000 to over 50,000 as well from 2022 to 2024. When you hear those numbers as well, and obviously the timing of this groundbreaking, how essential is it to have something like this right now?
It's critical. I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear those statistics, especially the children. That just grabs everybody's heart. So we work very hard at WellLife. You know, our mission is to provide support so people can thrive and live a well life. We have a full spectrum of services, but getting housing, having that available for people is our cornerstone. That's the way our mission is achieved. So we work very hard to find properties, which is difficult in this area, to find those properties, to get these buildings put in place and really provide this essential basic necessity that everybody should have. Nobody should be homeless.
Yeah, now of course that also, this initiative does support the Governor Hochul's $25 million 5-year housing plan as well. With this breaking ground, you know, what are the goals for this plan to support Governor Hochul's plans as well and kind of work together in that sense?
We're right there to partner with her. We have, you know, multiple opportunities throughout the year and ahead that we're trying to increase the housing that's available to help her meet that goal. I look at it as there's intentionality to it, there's bit by bit. A lot of other provider agencies, just like WellLife, are out there trying to address this as well. So together, we create that synergy to really help her to achieve those goals.
Yeah. Now, of course, when we talk about the development of these apartments, you know, what is going to be included inside to help people with homelessness or other social services that they may need?
Yeah. We at WellLife, we've worked very hard on trying to put together what we call our model housing program, where we just opened a building a couple years ago in Queens on Cypress Avenue, similar type of populations being served, half the size. So I'm very excited about this one, that we found a property we could increase the size. But this is, it's not that we're just creating units or apartments for people. We're creating a new community. So we really work hard on trying to put in a lot of different types of supports that create that social fabric for people to get to know each other and build a bond and respect each other. And that's how the buildings just take on their own personality. And it's so fun to see the different things. Within this building, we'll have laundry on every floor. We'll have a workout center. We've got a beautiful outdoor area. I'm very much into gardening, so I'm always trying to incorporate some kind of green space that's very meaningful and purposeful for the individuals that will live here. We're going to have play areas for children, garden areas, just areas for people to relax. It's so hard in today's world with all the intensity that we face to find those spaces, and that was something the community spoke to us about. They wanted space for families and they wanted green space, so we worked hard to make sure that was incorporated into this building.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it right there about building community as
Yes.
well. With having some of these things, even like a garden, you know, or a place for them to just hang out, build this community in a sense, how do you hope or envision that helping people who will be living in these buildings as well?
We see it every day in the people that we have in all the other locations that we provide. The stories are just heartwarming. You know, we had in our building in Cypress, we had an individual. She was a young woman that came from Alabama looking for the big dream in New York City and landed in a homeless shelter because she just wasn't prepared for what all is here coming from that environment. But when she found she was eligible for that location that we had, her story is amazing. She's now become a floral designer in one of the 5-star hotels in the city because she found a place to live, she had the supports wrapped around her, and she was able to achieve these dreams that she's looking for. So we want all the stories like that to continue and to grow and really provide people that landing pad that enables them to achieve their dreams.
Yeah, when you hear stories like that even, and of course, I'm sure of the stories that might come in once this building does open up, you know, how does that make you feel with the impact, to see the impact that is happening now in the community?
Makes me want to jump out of bed every morning to get to work, but there are challenges along with that. You know, no, it's really the reason behind the work that we do. It's what motivates everybody that works at WellLife. It's very hard work. It can be very burdensome. You know, we work with our workforce very hard to try to keep them from burning out because there's intensity levels of so many personalities coming from so many different backgrounds and traumas, and you know, life throws things at people that are very difficult. Our team comes alongside to help them to try to patch those broken spots and try to really come together in a way that they can achieve the goals and dreams they're looking for. So for me, that's what keeps it going. That's what makes me excited and so grateful that I have this opportunity to lead this organization that provides that support to people.
Now, of course, something like this does not just happen all alone. There are partnerships as well with the public and private sectors.
Yes.
Talk to me about the partnerships and the importance of them to bring something like this to life.
It's critical. You know, we have to have all the elements in place. As I talked, it's like a big puzzle that has to be put together when these buildings are conceptualized. We have to work with the local community boards. We have to get support from all the government entities from New York City, New York State, federal government. There's so many different layers on the public side, and then on the private side, we have to find the money. We have to find those that are willing to invest in these types of projects. They have to believe in us as an agency that we can get this work done. And so it's really critical to have all those components come together in order for this groundbreaking to occur and see this building come to life.
Yeah, now of course we talked a little bit about that community aspect. What type of impact does something like this also have on the city level as well? What do you see that kind of looking like?
Yeah, you know, it's like this opportunity. It's the hope and opportunity for people to really be able to come to a place where they know that they can achieve what they're looking to achieve. We as an agency are just excited that we can do that. We're providing work for people in the Bronx. We focus very, very intensely on trying to make sure we have opportunity for the local community to benefit from these things. The construction phase right now, they're hiring as many people as they can locally for the different stages of construction. And then same for us, when it comes time to staff the building and have have it open and really have the individuals there, we look to the neighborhood around. And so it's just a lovely synergy that takes place with the local community as well as with our organization and all the support that comes from the government as well.
Yeah, and I like that you were able to break that down a little bit for us, not just the impact within, but also, like you mentioned, around the job opportunities as well. Since February 11th, where you had this groundbreaking, what has been the community reaction, or what has that looked like so far?
It's, you know, I have to say we've been very supported with this project. From the first meeting, you never know what you're going to face when you have a community board meeting or you have a public offering for people to come and speak to you about it. But there was a lot of thoughtful commentary, and that's where we learned about the green space, about the families. We didn't quite have as many units that would house 3 bedrooms or a bigger family footprint. So we took that back, we worked with our architects, we really tried to restructure the building to be pleasing to the community. And with that, it became a partnership, not an adversarial, you know, situation or any concern. So we're really excited to always be the best neighbor possible. We want to always improve an area that we come into. What was previously on this property was a church, the Catholic church that they owned it. They wanted it to continue to do good work, so we, you know, agreed with them that that's all we're interested in as well. Now we're turning it into something that had really been abandoned into something that's going to be very much contributing to the thriving part of that neighborhood.
Yeah, and I know we're definitely excited to continue to follow along and to see, you know, all these services that you're mentioning as well come to life. With that, what's next, would you say, for WellLife Network as well?
Well, we're always looking for properties. You know, that's one thing, that's an area of growth that we focus on because, again, we really know that housing is a cornerstone for people. At the same time we're doing this project, we have one out on Long Island in Medford that will provide 67 units. So we're continuing to try to contribute to get more units out there for people, apartments for people to live in, new homes for people to enjoy. We've got some property in Brooklyn, we've got some property in Queens that we're looking at. But in addition to that, WellLife Network provides a full spectrum of care for people in the IDD population, in the mental health populations, and those with substance use disorders. So we're always trying to grow all those programs. We have a lot of staff that go out into the community to help people where they are. So we just are trying to do our best to improve and continue to grow and provide these supports that people need in order to live, you know, a life they've dreamed of.
Yeah, well, thank you again so much, Sherry, obviously, from breaking down even like the data and how it impacts obviously our community, how we're seeing it now, but also this monumental groundbreaking as well in our very own borough. So thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. To learn more about this organization and all that they do, please go to their website at welllifenetwork.org. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet Community Media Classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome back. According to New York State data from March 2024, the maternal mortality rate for Black women is 5 times higher than for white women. And our next guest has a new documentary titled You Are Not Alone, focusing on the public health disparity that is Black maternal health. The project is the director's first film and is now entered into the festival circuit. Joining me now is the film director of You Are Not Alone, Brittney Russell.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Congratulations as well on everything you're doing. To start off, tell me a little bit about You Are Not Alone and the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, so You Are Not Alone started as a project through Harvard's Media and Medicine program. So it was never intended to be a documentary. It's supposed to be a class project. And I started it because my field is in health inspections, and I saw the stark differences between downtown, Tribeca, Chelsea, and then the inspections uptown, and the mothers that had access to health care or even having a nanny versus mothers uptown that didn't have that. And I started to question, how mothers downtown were more relaxed when dropping off their children versus, women who are on 125th Street or women who are, on White Plains Road. And I had to start questioning, well, if the mothers are, exhibiting stress, then surely the babies that they're carrying are feeling that same stress from mom. So that's how this all started. And just doing research in the neighborhood, I was actually shocked at all the statistics that came up in the Bronx and how we are the highest of everything that's not good.
Yeah. I mean, when you even read those numbers, what are your initial reactions? And so obviously you're someone who's studying the data now, looking at it, more questions are starting to spark. What is your initial reaction when you see all that?
Oh, we need to fix it, and we need to fix it quickly. And due to everything changing within this country, it's only going to get worse if we don't step in. And I think healthcare providers and advocates are doing the work, but we as a people in the community can do the work as well.
Yeah, now, of course, something that I really enjoyed reading more about your work is that you did say medical stories are just as important as the practice. And you talk a little bit about merging that public health with media as well. What was that journey like to be able to take two passions?
Oh, well, I wanted to go to medical school initially, and that's I joke about this a lot. Every Caribbean parent's dream to hear that their child is not going to medical school, but they're going to focus on the arts. But I got very lucky in that my passion for medicine never changed. I just wanted to expose it differently, and that happened in 2017 when I went to Ghana and Nigeria with my dentist, and he performs free dental care, and I got the chance to document through photography. And I'm like, this is how medicine is supposed to feel, not just the hospital setting, but beyond, meeting people where they are. And so when I got into the Harvard program, I was super excited to know that my passion and the thing that I always wanted to do, which is exposing healthcare through a different lens, was able to collide. And it was a beautiful collision at that.
I mean, it is. And to see, obviously, you merging your passions, I mean, that in itself, I feel like is such a beautiful thing that we all also aspire to sometimes, to make change with something that we love doing. Obviously, through this journey, you do interview so many voices from local people who have experienced it. You even mentioned some friends, even our Bronx Borough president.
Yes.
How was it like to do all those interviews and collect all that information from real life experiences?
Yes, I was honored. Vanessa Gibson is a person who is dedicated to this, and that was the most exciting part. She's not just saying these statistics because it's her job. She's actually in the communities and speaking with women as well. And so between interviewing her and my friends and doulas, just gathering all this data, knowing that there is work being done, but we need to really hone in and see where else we can help. We have advocates who are constantly, even right now, going to hospitals and advocating for the patients and the women that are in there. But we can always do more, and more can be done.
Yeah. Now, of course, when you say that even of we can do more, why do you think the disparity happens, or where does something kind of drop off of taking care of, especially like our Black maternal people who are suffering, obviously, mainly from these issues?
One thing I found was that, by the time you have the baby, there are so many factors that are already leading up to it. Where you live, you know, due to my job, I've had to enter NYCHA buildings. And if you are so constantly worried about your heat being cut off or your water, and then you have to go wait for the bus and you're gonna miss your prenatal appointment, these are little things that lead up to the big picture. And if you can't control the small things, if you have to go all the way across town to get the freshest foods and produce because the Bronx has also a food desert issue, then these are things that are compounded on top of a larger issue. And we need to really focus on the why. Why is the Bronx desolate? You know, and when you start looking at that, then you can realize, yeah, we have the highest maternal health mortality because of these things.
Yeah, I mean, when you also talk about that as well, something that stood out to me is that 73% of pregnancy-related deaths had at least some chance of being prevented. When we hear those numbers, hear that it can even have been prevented. What are the specific factors or interventions do you think that we should be doing to make these changes or differences?
We need to promote doulas. We need to have more access to doulas. And we also need doctors to listen. And we also need medical providers to not just meet us at hospital settings, but in our communities. We need people that practice medicine to meet us on a regular basis, because I think there's a cultural disconnect a lot of times between someone who you see for maybe 12 hours or however long labor is versus a doctor knowing you as a person and seeing, oh, you know, she lives here. I can see why she's so stressed out. I can see why she has constant headaches. So we need to be more into the lives of our patients rather than just a 12-hour to 48-hour moment.
Yeah, I think another thing that also works, and I feel like I mentioned to you, I was watching the trailer even, and just seeing the voices, how it also kind of inspired something of like, wait, let's learn more about this, let's talk about it more. And I think you're doing that of starting even the conversation for many people. With having your film out there now, making the festival circuit, what has been the reaction, you'd say?
Oh, people love it. I was actually nervous because I told my subjects, say whatever you want, and they were like, great. And I was really proud of them for allowing me into their lives to expose something that's very personal and very tender, and sometimes it could be traumatic to just remember that moment and having your body catch up. But they loved it, and you know, people are saying they want to see it again, so I'm really hoping that it gets out there and it could become more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and I read you also had it showcased at the Bronx Museum of the Arts to show it in our very own borough at that too. How was that?
That was amazing. We travel everywhere else to see cinema, and I think that the Bronx Museum is a beautiful institution, and we need to stay in the Bronx because it gives us so much, and we need to be contributing to that vicinity as well.
Yeah. Now, obviously on the filmmaking side as well, I wonder for you, obviously you are kind of taking on these energies, hearing these stories firsthand. How do you kind of just, you know, still practice that self-care and not overwhelming yourself as well, someone who wants to tell the story, but it can be a lot, it can weigh a lot on you?
Yeah, definitely community. My friends who actually helped me put together the event for the Bronx Museum, they have been my support group, my mother, and definitely therapy to just know that I cannot carry everything with me after it's filmed, but to be able to talk about, like, you know, this one subject, I really want to just check in on her to make sure she's okay, because it was a lot, and I really think therapy and community have gotten me through this process.
Yeah, and I think you're definitely building that therapy and community in a sense through this documentary. Obviously it is showing now in the festival circuit. What is next for obviously the film? How is that journey to now having more people see it?
Oh, I definitely wanted to put it into institutions, preferably medical institutions, and also community-based realms as well, just to have people see the Bronx in a different way. It's not just bad, you know, oh my gosh, these are things happening, but it's a beautiful community, and we need to appreciate it more, and I want to show the world, hopefully, that medicine is not just these corridors, these rooms that you're in. Medicine is in the arts as well.
Yeah, and we're going to manifest it, okay? Showing it to the world. At that. I mean, when people do watch the film, we obviously know the statistics you're addressing, the people that we're going to listen to and hear from. But what do you hope the viewer takes from it?
To listen to your body, to not be shy to say something hurts or something's uncomfortable when you are in the presence of a medical professional, but to also trust yourself and to have more people around you that can advocate for you, because you're going to need people to lean on.
Yeah. I mean, with that as well, I wonder for you, obviously, through your journey of collecting these voices and hearing from them, anything that specifically shocked you or that was surprising to you, obviously, that we may not see on the data side, but now that you're in it with these people that you're hearing and seeing from them?
Yeah, medical negligence is not just a big, moment. It starts smaller than you think. It's with the doctor assuming something is wrong with you rather than asking you. So, picking up on cues like that are very hard, but I think everyone needs to, when they're in the presence of anyone that's in a medical setting, to slow down and really ask, what do you mean by that? What does this mean? How is this information impacting myself?
Yeah, something you also mentioned to me earlier was that the important aspect of our elected leaders, or even down to like our public health people who take care of us on day to day, how important is it for them to maybe join this conversation, see this film, be a part of this change as well?
They'll excel the change. We need people who are in the spotlight, and I'm going to be very honest, we need more people who have weight in the society to say, this is happening, I see it happening, what can we do to take it a step further?
Yeah. Now, seeing your journey, of course, from conceptualizing it, even being in medical school, to now being a filmmaker, merging both, how do you reflect back on this kind of journey that you've had?
Oh, I wouldn't change it. I would go through every struggle, oh my gosh, I didn't know this camera was so expensive. Every little misstep has led me to this really great project and experience, and I'm really excited just to continue making films.
Yeah, you're obviously shedding light on something so important, especially in our community. Anything else we can expect when it comes to merging health, media, or future projects, you'd say?
Yes, I'm actually in the process of a documentary for my friend's uncle, who was a former martial artist, and how his love for martial arts has impacted the community in Harlem. So that's coming out soon, and it's another community-based film, and I'm definitely happy to be a part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if our viewers even who may be watching and are inspired by your journey, and that, sometimes it's not so linear, and that you continue to find your passions along the way, what advice would you give them about discovering their passion, blending multiple even passions at that?
Yeah, always stay true to your why. There are going to be a lot of factors that come your way, but you also have to remember why you're doing something, and that can't change. The factors around you will change, but you can't change your why. So continue to pursue it.
I love that you mentioned that, especially every year I choose like my word or my phrase of the year, and this year my phrase was, don't forget your why.
We have to remember it.
Yeah, so important. And again, the work you're doing is important. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Amazing. With that, to learn more about Brittney's film, please go to the website bmrfilms.com. We've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us, and you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 8 p.m. tonight on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 38, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with Darian Jaime on Wednesday and with Rina Valentin on Friday. I'm Jonathan Calixto. Stay informed, stay inspired, and stay safe. Until next time.